Glory to Jesus Christ, and welcome to St. Cyril Methodius, Ukrainian Orthodox Church. I'm Father Gregory, the pastor. It is Sunday, June 11th, the Feast of All Saints in the Orthodox Church. And, yeah, well, here in Madison at least, it's raining, but I hope maybe the weather's a little bit nicer where you are. I want to talk to you today about something that I've thought about a lot over the last couple of years, and that is, how do we live our life as Orthodox Christians in an age of material abundance? You know, a lot of times when we think about how we're supposed to live out our lives with all of our material possessions, we bring to mind passages like this from St. Matthew's Gospel. Jesus said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go sell that and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. There is this idea among many Orthodox Christians is that material wealth somehow is morally suspect, and ideally we should get rid of it and live in poverty and follow Jesus Christ. The difficulty with that is that we now live, as I said a moment ago, in an age of great material abundance. To be sure, this abundance is not universal, either globally or, for example, in the United States. And yet, in the United States, in Canada, Western Europe, Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, increasingly parts of Asia and Eastern Europe, people are becoming materially better off, and we simply have more stuff. To say, as some would suggest, that we just need to get rid of stuff, I think is anthropologically, but also economically naive. To do away with material goods, to slow the rate of economic development, is something which will have a deleterious effect not only on humanity generally, but especially on those people who are already poor. The fact of the matter is, to borrow from John F. Kennedy, a rising tide lifts all boats, and if not everyone is becoming wealthier at the same rate, the fact of the matter is that humanity overall is much better off than we were even 30 years ago. So what are we to do as Orthodox Christians? How are we to live in this age of material abundance? Like I said a moment ago, I think simply getting rid of things, while it has some small value, is really not fundamentally the way to go. We need to learn how to deal with, or how to remain faithful to Christ in a life where we have all sorts of material goods at our disposal. Let's think about that for just a minute. With these increased material goods, we have a lot of freedom. At least potentially, we have a lot of freedom. We don't have to invest the kind of effort that, say, 50 or 100 years ago, we would have to invest in getting ourselves fed, our family fed, putting a roof over our heads, things like that. And then we have all of these additional things that, again, were unheard of 50 years ago. Vacations on a regular basis, air travel, the internet, computers, all of these things. What we need to strive for, what I need to strive for, is to cultivate a certain detachment from them, and to be attentive to how my material wealth is beginning to affect positively, or especially negatively, my own inner life. Let me use a real quick example from my own life. The last couple of weeks, I've been noticing when I've been scrolling through Facebook that I was getting sad and even a little depressed. Now, I've done a very good job of curating my Facebook feed so that people who are abusive, I've simply blocked. But people who tend to post very negative things, or who tend to post simply to get attention, draw attention to themselves by stirring up controversy, I've unfollowed them. I keep them as friends, but I unfollow them. But now what I'm discovering is that, having curated my feed so that it really is very positive, I'm still getting sad. And I've been thinking about that for a while. And what comes to mind is a comment from the fathers. I want to say St. Anthony the Great, but I'm not sure. The brighter the light, the more spots on the window. Now, the saint in that context is talking about how when divine grace illumines the heart, we become more aware of our own sinfulness. Well, there's something like that, I think, that happens in an age of material abundance, and the Facebook feed, I think, is a good example of that. That in sort of a almost in a perverse way, the more I'm surrounded by cheerfulness and pleasure, the more I become aware of those parts of my life that aren't cheerful, that aren't pleasant, that aren't easy. And if I'm not careful, all of the material blessings around me can cause me to have to we might say overemphasize the negative aspects or the unpleasant aspects or even the suboptimal aspects of my own life. Isn't that strange? I'm surrounded by things which are cheerful and inspiring and upbeat, and as a sort of an unintended negative consequence of that, I can become very unappreciative of my own life because of the ways in which here and there it doesn't measure up to this very artificial, frankly, curated standard of cheerfulness. So again, what should I do? Like I said, I need to be attentive to what's going on in my own heart and whether or not I'm moving into darker or just more into darker thoughts or despondency as a result of spending too much time thinking about things which are cheerful, especially in other people's lives. So when that happens, I have to take some time out, and I have to maybe intensify my life of prayer, my reading of scripture, maybe go to confession, not because what people are posting, for example, on Facebook is wrong. It's just that too much of this cheerfulness seems to lead us down a darker, less appreciative path. Well, anyway, that's my thought for today about living in an age as a Christian, living how to be a Christian living in an age of abundance, to cultivate detachment and to guard the heart and be attentive to the stirrings of the heart so that we know when it's time to step back from the abundance and maybe simplify our lives materially or emotionally or socially for just a little bit until we regain our sense of equanimity. Well, it is now a little after 8 o'clock and liturgy starts at 9:30. So if you're here in the Madison area and you don't have a church to go to, or you're Orthodox and don't go to church, please consider coming this morning to St. Cyril Methodius at 1020 Regent Street in downtown Madison. If you're living in some other part of the country and you're Orthodox, hey, get to liturgy this morning, because only 3 out of 10 of us are going to be in liturgy this morning. And if you're not Orthodox and you're wondering about how you can learn to live more faithfully to Christ in an age of abundance, come and check us out and learn about, among other things, our ascetical life, our life of prayer, fasting, almsgiving, and manual labor. These spiritual disciplines, these classical spiritual disciplines, are very, very helpful in an age of abundance in teaching us how to use the good things that God has given us without being overwhelmed by them. Well, I've gone on much too long. So hope you're all having a very good Sunday morning, and hope to see you in church either here or maybe somewhere else. So God bless everyone, and bye-bye.